there's no real other place to start apart from Philadelphia. And obviously, being a 76ers fan, Owen, I feel like you've got a lot to see. A lot has changed. So
Well,
just go for it.
yeah. Well, obviously, the playoffs was pretty bad. Getting swept in the first round, never ideal. Um, and also signing Horford and Tobias to those big contracts, not very good. But it's all resulted in us having the best front office in the league and the best coaching staff. Yesterday, the day we hired Daryl Morey, Dan Burke, Sam Cassell, Pete Dominguez, probably one of the best days as a Sixers fan we've had for probably since we last traded for Jimmy Butler like 2 years ago.
Why are these guys so important then? What makes these guys so good, and why are they going to fix Philly?
Well, we go from having the most incompetent front office in the league, with owners who are very stubborn and with massive egos. So thankfully, they swallowed their pride and they've actually hired good people who are smarter than them. When we had Sam Hinkie, one of the reasons they fired him was because he was smarter than them. They basically alluded to that. They always wanted to be the smartest person in the room. But now we've hired Hinkie's mentor and Daryl Morey, so we're going back to the process. Not really a process, but this is more of like a completion of the process, really. And then the coaching staff, I can't believe it. We got about 4 coaches there who easily could have got head coaching jobs. It's great. We're going from Brett Brown to this. Like, it's unbelievable. It's such an upgrade.
And it's all down to Jimmy Butler.
All because he left us.
All
He
because
left us, they went to the finals, and it made our front office look like idiots. And that's why goal has changed. So again, Jimmy Butler saved the day.
it's been a great year for Jimmy Butler. He's without probably even knowing it, he fixed Philly, and then got a great trade to Miami and made them great.
Yeah, it makes going through this tough season all worth it, because now we're in such a great position in terms of front office and coaching staff. Still, the players need to be figured out. There's still a lot of problems there, but we're like 2/3 of the way there now. 2/3 of the way.
As you're saying about like needing to fix the players, because obviously, as we saw from this season, the players didn't really work. Um,
Yeah.
Do you have faith that these guys will make the right changes?
Completely. Daryl Morey he's probably one of the most respected GMs in the league. Well, he's not GM, he's a president of basketball. If anyone can fix this mess, it's him. I wouldn't say a genius, but he's probably one of the smartest presidents in the league. What he did with the Rockets, going from Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady to James Harden without ever tanking. He was able to get the next superstar and build a team that I think since he's been there, only the Spurs have a better winning percentage than the Rockets. So they're always consistently one of the best teams in the league. Sometimes his teams are too one-dimensional. With the Rockets, it was always step back threes or nothing. But Morey, people misinterpret him as just a 3-point guy, but he's more about having shooting the most efficient shot. And with our team, the most efficient shot is the basket, getting layups. Because Joe, when he's motivated, he's unstoppable below the rim. Ben can only shoot below the rim. So, people are thinking like, oh, trade Ben because he doesn't shoot threes. Doesn't make sense, because Morey just isn't about only threes. Because if you look at Westbrook, I think that's a great example of Morey, not only shooting threes, because with the Thunder, Westbrook shot 6 threes a game, whereas with OKC, just only 2. So it's not all about 3-point shots. It's about getting the most efficient one.
OKC and Thunder are the exact same team.
Did I say OKC and
Yeah,
Thunder?
I was even to say
Damn.
Houston. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Houston.
you were saying that Daryl Morey looks for the most efficient shot, but and we were saying about Houston just throw up threes, is a step back three the most efficient shot you could possibly find in that Houston team?
Well, I think they go along the lines of a 3-point shot. Taking a contested 3 is better than a contested mid-range. And when you have someone like Harden who was willing to fully embrace that, and he took it to the extremes because he's good enough to do that. Whereas if you had a Furkan Korkmaz, he won't be taking step back threes because he can't do it. So yeah. But then again, so Morey loves analytics, right? Glenn Rivers, because there's only one doc in Philadelphia. Glenn, back in LA, always ignore the analytics. So I don't know how they're gonna sort of compromise, because they're two completely ends of the spectrum. So, but that could be a potential concern. But these are two of the most respected guys in the league, so I trust them to really get the most out of us.
One more point on Morey. You were saying that he's a very intelligent man. He did sign off on the CP3 Russ trade though, which gave us a lot of
Apparently,
picks.
it was their owner, Tillman Fertitta, who Rockets fans now hate. He was the one who signed off on the trade, so it was basically his fault.
So it's still a dub for you then.
So yeah, Morey is weird because his team's never done quite enough to win a championship. They've always been there, like in and around the conference finals, and for Philly, that's good enough for me. I'm not expecting the championship. I just want us to be a good run franchise, which we haven't really been for since I've been a fan, which is quite sad. But now we have a bunch of pedigree there in the front office and coaching staff, which is weird because I'm always used to a bunch of dysfunction.
Yeah. Well, so you've got a whole new front office. You've got the new coaching staff. What do you want to happen with all these players?
I don't think like wholesale changes is the answer. You want some sort of consistency, because in terms of the players, every year we've had a different roster. We need some continuity, and I think obviously again off of Horford's contract is big. I think we have to get rid of him. But with Toby, I would keep Toby, because if you look at Doc Rivers, he got the best out of him. When Toby was playing for the Clippers, he shot 43% from three, which is, we need shooters. And if Doc can get him back to that, especially with Daryl Morey there, who loves 3-point shots as well, he might be the perfect power forward for us. So I think the only real big change is Horford, maybe Josh Richardson, get them out, and bring in someone like a Buddy Hield, who again will stretch the floor and give space for Ben and Joe.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that. Like, I feel like this is the season now where you run it one more time with Ben and Joel to see if it will work. If you can keep Joel playing well for a whole season, then you keep him. If not, I say next year you trade him.
Yeah, well, I was watching a video on YouTube. It was talking about Ben and Joe and their pairing. It's crazy how quickly they've gone from being young up and coming players to they need to get rid of them. Like, they've spent 3 years together. 2 of the seasons they've had over 50 wins. They got to the second round in the Ben's rookie season, dominated Miami that series. In the second year, they could have won a championship if Kawhi didn't hit the luckiest shot of all time. So I don't get why. Like, there hasn't been enough stuff going wrong to suggest they need to move on. I would give them 2 or 3 more years. And also, when they have the right players around them, Ben and Joe are one of the best duos in the league. Going back to when we had Redick, Covington, and Dario, 3 players who could all space the floor, Ben and Joe were perfect together. It's one of the best duos in the league statistically. Then when you last season had J. Rich, who can't shoot, Toby, who was very poor, and then Al Horford, who again was very poor, Ben and Joe really took the blame for it, even though it's not their fault that our front office was just so dumb, So now Daryl Morey, he's 100% going to get the right people there to surround Ben and Joe.
Yeah, it depends how like what sort of like win mentality the front office and the coaching staff will have, because obviously if this season coming up doesn't go as well as you'd want it to go, and Joel doesn't really play to the levels that you'd want him to, or Ben doesn't, if they want to bring in a championship soon, you might see one of them being traded. But if they want to kind of build something over a few more years, they might keep them.
And that's the thing with Daryl Morey, he's never scared to make a big move. You look at trading Chris Paul. They got to the conference finals, and if Chris Paul didn't get injured, they probably wouldn't have made the finals. But yeah, they still pushed on to make that move. It wasn't the right move for Westbrook, but he's aggressive. I remember seeing a quote from Daryl Morey. He said, "When you haven't got your franchise players, your franchise should always be in a state of flux. You should always be making every move possible to make that next step." But we have 2 franchise players, so now I know Daryl Morey likes to trade draft picks for role players. I'm not a fan of that. But if this puts us in a position to make a run for a championship, I think it's kind of worth it. And also, Daryl, Morey, and Doc Rivers, they're not like particularly good at drafting. So you can make the argument that it would be better for them to trade those picks for players instead of selecting players who are going to be busts.
Yeah. What do you see like Ben Simmons this season? Would you rather see him play power forward and you bring in a playmaker at point guard, like another playmaker to play with Ben? Or would you rather see him play at the point?
I think Doc put it best. We should just completely ignore like labels as positions. Obviously, Ben is going to be down low, but Ben, like, don't give him a label. Ben is a point guard. He's a power forward. He's anything because he's good enough to be anything on the court. So, but I always think with Ben, space the floor because he's the best in the league at getting players open 3-point looks. And with Daryl Morey, who loves threes, Ben is perfect because he generates all those shots. But I think it would be useful to have another ball handler on the team who can also shoot and defend. Maybe that's asking too much. Someone like Chris Paul would be good, but the fact he's 36, when is he going to fall off in terms of playing ability? I wouldn't give up a lot for him. If we can get him for cheap, then by all means do it. But I'm sure OKC would want Matisse or Shake Milton first round picks. I wouldn't give that up for Chris Paul. But yeah, for Ben and Joe, get players who can space the floor. That's the short answer, really.
So, do you think a trade for Buddy Hield's possible? And what do you think? Would you think you'll take Horford and Richardson? What do you think that trade would look like?
Well, Buddy clearly wants out, and he wants to come to Philadelphia. You see where he's putting on social media. He wants to be in Philly, but he's got a new long-term contract, so the Kings have no reason to trade him. So it's going to be tough. But then again, what do we have to offer? All we really have is Toby, which I'd want to keep right now. So Al Horford out trade, and I know the Kings were interested in him last summer, but after seeing how he performed this year, like, would they still want him at that price? I think Jay Rich sweetens the deal, but he's only got one more year left on his contract. So if we give him Horford, I think we would have to give up one of our young guys, whether that's Matisse or Shake. And I don't want to get rid of those two. I think in an ideal world, the perfect trade would be Horford, Jay Rich, and our 21st pick. But would they accept that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the trade might sound okay, but then like you don't know what like the front offices want or what they like, what players want to keep, what their plans are. Because like we've seen bad trades happen before. Like people get traded for like nothing, and like I'm gonna use the AD trade. I'm not saying the AD trade was a bad trade, but like the whole Lakers roster getting traded for AD, like trades are weird. It depends on who's involved. But would you say the dream lineup for? Go on. What is your dream lineup for the next season?
Obviously, this is going to be a realistic version now, within like reason of what we could potentially do this summer. So if we come out with this off season with a starting five of, say, Ben, Buddy Hield, Matisse, have him starting small forward, Toby, and Embiid. I think that's the best case scenario.
That's exactly what I would have said as well.
Yeah.
Because Tease can kind of shoot the three. Like,
he
if you put him in the
season
corners.
incredibly well, but he had an injury. He had for a couple of weeks, and when he came back, he just completely lost his shot. So he's shown potential in college, shooting from 3-point range in college. He was shooting over 40%, so he can do it. It just more consistently needs to get.
It reminds me a bit of Jeremy Grant when he was at OKC. Like, he was very Jeremy Grant was a very raw player when he was coming off the bench for OKC. And then over that season, we kind of developed him into a good defender. He was like he was using his length right, and he was getting in the corners and shooting efficiently from the corners. And I feel like Tease could have that kind of season if he's used right.
He's always in the corners. He's always in the perfect spot to shoot threes. He's always open, and he can hit those shots. And I think if you have Buddy, Hield, and Toby in your starting lineup, you need to have defenders around them. if you put Sheik in that starting lineup, all of a sudden you've got 3 players who can't defend. Same with Fergon, he can't defend. So I think Matisse, hopefully he could grow into some sort of maybe a Robert Covington. I think that's his ceiling. That's where we want him to get. One of the best defenders in the league already. He just needs to become a consistent shooter. And that's it. If he can do that, he's perfect for us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well. If Buddy Hield does come in and you're going to play Buddy Hield, you're going to want Tease for his defense in there, because he's also he's a very good defender already as a rookie. So he's only going to get better.
Yeah, well, this might be a little bit biased. I think he's probably top 5 perimeter defenders already. He's insane.
Yeah,
you see what someone like Kemba says about him. You see what all these top players say about him, and as a rookie, he has no right being that good already. It's crazy. And now you're bringing in Dan Burke, who's arguably the best defensive coach in the NBA. You're giving him to Matisse. It's crazy. If anyone can unlock the defensive potential on this team, is Dan Burke. So just thinking about what could happen next year is crazy exciting. But I'm just waiting to get let down again, because the things are going too well right now. I'm just waiting for us to do something stupid.
Yeah, you were a lot more excited last season for the last season when the Al and the Toby trades happened.
I was out of control last season.
Yeah, you were very excited then, and to see you this excited again this time, I can only think there's going to be something bad, like a bad trade or a season-ending injury for Ben or Joel.
Well, I saw someone's going to pay the price for all this good fortune that we're having right now, whether it's our next rookie or.
Someone has to take a bullet.
All of our rookie curse of all our rookies getting injured every single season. Maybe this was all for this. We paid our bad luck in the past, and this is our good luck. This is our good fortune.
No, whoever you draft is going to have a horrible, horrible injury.
And that's why Morey should trade our first round picks.
Yeah, but if you trade that pick, you know what's going to happen. Whoever that pick goes to, they'll become a star.
Probably.
And you look oh, we shouldn't have traded that pick. And that's the curse staying with you. You're cursed. Your team's cursed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Philly. It was a disappointing season. You could tell that from what our predictions were. What we thought the ceiling of that team could have been. Definitely a disappointing season, but so far looking very good with all the changes. It's just where the changes really matter and what team is going to start this season. Do you get Buddy Hield? What are the other options? Who are the players you have in mind?
There's really not many other options. I mean, the long shot is Bradley Beal. But I can't see that happening at all.
I think everybody's long shot is Bradley Beal. Every team is Bradley Beal.
Or if we can somehow get rid of Horford to the Knicks, because they want to absorb salaries for draft picks, so we could give Horford to the Knicks and a first round pick, and then use the cap space, whatever cap space we have, to sign a Joe Harris or a Davis Bertans. We don't have much options, so we need to capitalize on the few options that we do have.
Yeah, the problem with that is I'd assume the Knicks would rather CP3 over Al Horford.
Yeah, but to get a CP, they would have to give up assets, wouldn't they? I think they're sort of in the position of Philadelphia were in back in 2014, where we were taking on JaVale McGee's $10 million contract to get a first-round draft pick. So I think they just want to gain assets right now.
And you said if Horford goes to the Knicks, you could sign somebody in free agency. Would you really want, you mentioned Bertans? Would you want Bertans and Tobias Harris in the same team? I feel like they're two kind of similar players.
Oh no, Bertans is an elite shooter, and he's basically perfect for our lineup. Because
you saying Tobias isn't an elite shooter?
Oh no. Yeah, Bertans. Whenever I was watching the Wizards, he'd be off the dribble from about 72 feet away from the basket, and he'd just launch and he'd make it. He's he's in our top tier of shot makers with a Duncan Robinson and JJ Redick. Yeah, he can't defend to save his life, but that 3-point shooting is exactly what we need. And when you have someone like a Matisse, a Ben, and a Joe, who are all top tier defenders, you don't really need, a Bertans to be great defensively. Just exist and don't be a sieve. Just hold your ground and that's it.
Yeah, and if, like, obviously it's all hypothetical, but if that trade did happen, you're talking about defense with Bertans not being able to defend, Tobias Harris not being a good defender, but you'd still have Ben and Dybul, or Ben and J. Rich, who's a good defender as well. So you'd still have like the two and Joel, and obviously Ben being 7 foot practically, he guards everybody.
Yeah.
So,
and also with Dan Burke coming in, I remember TJ Warren at the Suns, one of the worst defenders in the league, horrific, so bad. Dan Burke turned him into an above-average defender, so he can work wonders. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns Shake Milton into a good defender. So he has that impact on players.
I've seen Shake Milton play. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. He's a magician.
Yeah, in the hypothetical world of Al going to the Knicks, I'd probably rather go for somebody like Joe Harris over. I just don't like the how big heavy that team would look.
Yeah, but it might be a situation where they get Horford and they waive him. They give him all his money up front and then just get rid of him. You never know. Or move him onto a different team whilst keeping some of his salary. I think their main priority right now is getting draft picks over winning.
I won't talk about the Knicks. I'm talking about the Philly team, having Ben, Toby,
Right,
Bertans,
okay.
and Joel all in the starting lineup. I don't like how that seems like sluggish and heavy to me.
Yeah, Bertans is a bench piece. He comes off the bench in Washington. He's more like a spark plug. J. Rich, I hope he's traded. I don't want to see him start another game for us. Like for someone who's a ball handling shooting guard, he can't handle the ball and he can't shoot. He can defend. I'll give him he's a very good defender, but we need someone else there in his place.
I liked J. Rich when he was at Miami. I remember watching him when he played point guard a few times for Miami, and I just thought he looked all right. But he came to
when he played point guard for us, he was complete. Maybe that's the effect of Brett Brown. Anyone who comes to Philadelphia becomes a worse player. You look at Toby, became a much worse player than when he was at the Clippers. J. Rich was much worse. Al Horford was so much worse. Alec Burks was a worse player than what he was at Golden State. Glenn Robinson was a worse player than what he was at Golden State. There's a common theme. Maybe Brett Brown was just a really bad coach.
I don't say that because he seems like the only option for OKC at the moment.
If you could get Kenny Atkinson, he's still out there. Kenny Atkinson. I can't say
we just run no head coach this season. just make CP3 retire and get him as head coach. Yeah, we'll talk about OKC and that's a later date. I don't know when that's coming up. But yeah, that's pretty much Philly.
Yeah.
Pray for Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
But definitely get rid of Al Horford.
Get rid of Al Horford and J. Rich and get Buddy. I think that's the minimum for us.
Yeah. But I feel like if the J. Rich and if the Buddy Hield trade isn't possible, I feel like it's more important to get rid of Al than J. Rich.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.